Welcome to another episode of BOA Cast. It is David here again with Ian, and tonight we will be talking about holiday celebrations and traditions. Ian, how are you doing today?
Excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I thought this would be a fun discussion given where we're at. This will be a few parts reminiscing, and then some parts creating your own. And so I hope all of you can enjoy. And I hope you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Most of these are things I haven't told you about. So
Well, I look forward to hearing more.
yeah. Well, for Thanksgiving, some of my earliest Thanksgiving memories, and I'm going to refer to a lot of things that happened when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of my earliest Thanksgiving memories were Thanksgiving at the farm. My great grandmother had a farm about an hour and a half away. I won't say exactly where, but about an hour and a half away. And we would go there and all of the family would get together. And she was the youngest of 13 siblings.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And so it was a pretty big extended family. And then she had 4 of her own. And so, was it 3 or 4? No, it was 3. My bad. She had 3. But my great uncle and great aunt and their families would come. So and so we would have a big old group because it was great grandma, and then her entire brood, which was a bunch of people. And we were all city folks.
Oh boy.
And then my 2 great uncles and the great aunts and their whole brood, and they were all farm folks.
Okay.
So the dynamic was a lot different. One of them was a farmer and, very, very legit, worked the land, and he and his boys, that's what they did.
Yep.
And then another one was actually a school teacher, but he had done lots of the farming stuff, still a hunter,
Yeah.
all of that. So the dynamic was interesting because you had all these city kids because my grandparents went to the city and my grandfather became an engineer and my grandmother became a nurse and they were fully engaged in city life for their whole careers. And so then, so then that just kind of passed through to all of their kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
But it was fun being out there. Most of the times when I was out there, my great grandmother was too old to tend the land, but she had neighbors who would rent the land from her. And so she had dairy cows and they were not her dairy cows. They were the neighbors' dairy cows, but we were allowed to go and interact with the cows and give them water. And sometimes we did other things as well. And then there was a cornfield that was frequently unused. So some years it was in use by a neighbor that was caring for it. And in some years it was just fallow. And we would run around out there. But yeah, we kind of had 2 times a year that we would go there, and it was Easter and Thanksgiving, and the house was this, reasonable size for a farmhouse, but it was a farmhouse,
Yeah.
right?
It's not a mansion.
And so we slammed ourselves in there. You could barely pull your chair in and out. We were putting together, 3 tables in the living room and just folding chairs all over the place. And again, this table, this felt bigger than it actually was. And I know that because I was back there once as an older teenager. And it was a good reminder to me of, oh, this place is tiny, right? It felt bigger when I was little.
Yeah.
But the tables went most of the way to the wall. And so you were navigating, like, can I pull out my chair enough to get up, particularly the adults? So we would cram the kids in the back, and then the adults would sit closer to the kitchen door because near the kitchen door, you could actually get up. we had a potluck set up in the kitchen. And so people would go and grab all their food. And then we would try to figure out a different place to put the food so people could actually eat at the table where the potluck food was set because we couldn't all eat at the same time. And it was just a great time of getting together, being social. And even when it was cold on those Easter and Thanksgiving days, there just wasn't enough space in the house. So the kids frequently got kicked out the door, especially while in between the meal and dessert when parents were making coffee and conversation. So we always had to dress warm and wear our muddy boots because we were going to get gross. So I have a lot of fond memories at great grandma's house, even though that was just a few years. And that's a reminder to me that your kids don't have a whole lot of years.
Yeah.
And you make really meaningful memories in those short years. So, yeah.
No, it's incredible just on that, having a conversation with my adult daughter now. And something she was sharing was about being in youth group at church and actually getting bullied by other kids because she would just talk about what we were doing in our lives. And they said that there was just no way possible that that was all true what she was sharing. And so I think one kid was just jealous, and that's why it was happening.
Oh, it was envy?
Yeah. It was why she was sharing that. I was like,
Envy's a heck of a drug.
Yeah. But I never thought that we were doing anything extravagant or crazy. We just always stuck together as a family and tried to do fun bonding things as a family, whether it was, going to some park, playing in a river for free, or, going to Valley Fair or something, or the Mall of America, or, something that does cost you some money, and everything in between. And whether it was a day trip, a weekend trip, just making those memories. And I think we often, as the parents and adults, can forget how impactful or important those small moments are. And we get hung up on these grandiose ideas of grandeur and spectacle. And then now you talk to most people as adults and you talk about the long vacations and they're like, yeah, those sucked. Stressful. You got to get people here and there. Nobody's ever happy. Somebody gets sick. Some luggage gets lost. There's no time to actually rest and connect. You're always on the go, 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 go. It's like very few people, I think, do the vacation stuff like really well, where they're very strategic. Like, we're going to go here and we're just going to hang out here for 4 days. What's your agenda? Nothing. It's like, yeah, okay. Like people go to Europe and they'll go to the European countries and they're there for 2 weeks and they hit 9 countries while they're there. Well, how much can you experience or feel the culture of any one of those countries when you're there for a day or two?
Yeah.
You're not going to, versus, okay, you go there for 2 weeks and you see 3 countries and now you're spending 4, 5 days in each one. Now what kind of experience can you have and memories can you make?
Yeah.
Instead of the memory of, let's get to the next place.
But, and my counter to that is, if you're very targeted about what you want to see, but then what is the purpose? Is the purpose to see those things? Or is the purpose to experience the culture and the people, right?
Yeah, if you just want to check a box, sure.
Yeah. I mean, one of my dreams that I haven't been able to get together for a variety of reasons, but one of my dreams is to get my wife and maybe my wife and my boys out to Italy and just book a villa for a week or two and just be in a villa in small town Italy for a little while. Just hang out, wake up in the morning, walk down, have some coffee, enjoy the fresh air, look out at what's to see. There's lots of places where we could do that sort of a thing. And I think that type of a trip would probably drive my wife crazy. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Sounds amazing to me.
Yeah.
But it's funny too, because I think older versions of me would have thought that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But more and more, I try not to get caught up in the FOMO or I have to be doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And just accepting that I'm just simply not going to do everything there is to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not even possible. I mean, if you started as a child and went to experience everything in every country and every part of the world, like you would be extremely challenged.
Yeah.
And to even do it and check the boxes, you would just miss so much of the experience.
Right.
Versus taking the time to just enjoy it and experience it.
Yeah.
Versus trying to check the next box.
Well, it's an interesting balancing act, right? Because you need to have enough get up and go to make the list of the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's that. You have to have enough gumption that you're like, I want to go here and I want to do this and I want, and that drive is what gets you there. And then how do you relax once you're there? That's interesting. So we just went from holidays to world travel.
But it all kind of correlates.
Yeah, we get around.
It's experiences of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what, just like putting together Thanksgiving or getting families together.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, there's a list and there's prioritizing and what matters and what doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Is it all about getting everybody together, cramming everybody together, saying hi to everybody for 3 minutes because you don't have time to really talk to anybody else?
Yeah.
Or is it an intimate gathering with a few people where you get much more in-depth conversation? But then if you're only talking to the same people year in and year out, is there any movement or growing in your life?
Yep.
So there's pros and cons to each side of that.
Yeah. Yeah. An opportunity to catch up with people. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so after my great grandma passed, I was very fortunate because my grandmother continued to be willing to host, and she would invite her brothers' families. So we would have all of the same people were invited. Because often when that patriarch or matriarch dies, the party dies with it, right?
Yep.
And so I was very fortunate that grandma was willing to take that on and continue that tradition. And she did pretty well, but she was holding it further away. So all of the farm folks who had a harder time getting away from their farms, because they have daily stuff.
Yeah.
Some things about farm life, just the animals don't care that you have 6 hours of driving to do.
Nope.
They're going to do the things they need to do. So you can kind of become attached to your farm, especially at the times when everyone else wants to get away, right? It's hard to hire somebody to take care of the things that need taken care of on a holiday.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
For sure.
So we saw them less, but we continued to get together, and we continued to get together in a really fun way. And it was with this other grandma, she had a larger house and sprawling one level, but it was equally crowded with furniture and people. And the main difference for this was that the potluck was spread out over 3 different tables. So you had to hit multiple tables to get all of your food. And this would cause you to bump into more people and talk to more cousins and more aunts and uncles and all of that as you were getting ready to have your meal. And then you'd sit down and you'd eat. And instead of going outside, which we sometimes did, the kids would go outside and throw a frisbee, play basketball, play football, whatever the case is. It depended how wet the house, the yard was.
Yeah.
Strange aside, they had a low part of their yard that after rain would just have a pond. And so
kids wanted to play in it.
The older kids knew that all of the ground near the pond was sopping wet, and that the younger kids didn't know that. So when it came time to play football, they would tackle them near to the pond where the little kids would think they were safe and Okay. I might be, that might have only happened once or twice, but
Funny every time.
that pond was very funny. And anytime a Frisbee went in there with one of the younger kids, 4, 5, 6-year-old, it was just a tragedy. Now, when I say pond, the thing is that it's standing water that was less than a foot deep.
Yeah.
But nobody wanted to go in there. It was deep enough that it was going to get in your boots. No, so.
And it was going to be cold.
But occasionally we had, a crazy cousin. So.
We all got crazy cousins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had a couple. So I don't think I was the crazy cousin very often. Sometimes.
I might have been. I don't know.
Sometimes we are the crazy cousin. Yeah.
If
Anyway.
you can't find the crazy cousin,
it might be you. Yeah.
it's because it's you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we had a lot of fun there, but instead of all of us get kicked out of the house, often what happened, especially on the cold Thanksgivings, is that we would go down into the basement and play board games. Okay. So I have many memories of playing board games with my cousins after a Thanksgiving meal, and coming upstairs to figure out what are the adults all doing. And half of them were watching football or asleep on the couch. And the other half were just talking about life and cutting the pie early before the kids came up and ate it all. So I have some good memories about Thanksgiving from my childhood. So do you have similar stories of family gatherings, or was it smaller?
No. So my mom was one of 10 kids.
Yeah.
And my grandparents hosted holidays for most of my life until my grandma passed away, and then eventually my grandfather passed away, and he kind of stopped hosting holidays a little before that. And that was, families had gotten older at that point. Mm-hmm. He lived to 98 or 99. I can't remember which. I think even the family goes back and forth based on, because when you're that old and born back close to the turn of the century,
yep,
some of those weren't like clearly defined of when you were exactly born. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we had regularly the large family gathering with my mom being one of 10 kids. There's usually one or two of the uncles that wouldn't be there. Otherwise, pretty much everybody's there. And there was 20 grandkids, probably about, give or take. So, at times when like everybody showed up, and it was a nice 2-level, simple in-town house. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it got full. And we had some of the playing outside, but we had room inside. We weren't quite blown out. There's some game playing. I don't really remember, because there's so many holidays that blend together. So I don't know which holidays we would have been like going to the park nearby and playing and stuff and hanging out or running around the yard. So yeah, we definitely played outside. But then more as I got to be, a teenager, young adult, is a lot more of what I really remember. Mm-hmm. And some of the, sitting around having conversations, watched some football. Definitely watched a lot of football. There's always the TV on. There's like the kitchen with the little dining table and the couch. Mm-hmm. And that was where the football game was on. And then the big living room was like the open talk space. Yep. You'd be gathered around there. And sometimes you'd have multiple individual conversations going on. Sometimes it'd be a big group conversation going on. It's kind of always varied, and definitely some fond memories in that growing up and spending time together. And there's, I think the hardest thing for me is some of the stuff. And I think it's something too, that's something that I wrestle with in my own life, is that some of the conversations for me felt a little generic and just like rinse and repeat of, let's complain about the government. Let's complain about the weather. What ailment are we facing now? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we got a new car last year. Like, the same kind of like basic things. And it was like, in some ways I felt like I knew them, but in other ways it's like, I don't really know you much, which is a strange phenomenon when you start to as I've gotten older and spent more time, I've realized that I value depth in a relationship a lot more than a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
Which is really strange when you come from a giant family where you have a lot of people around, and that might be part of the impact of that, of like all these people that like I spend a bunch of time with and I know, but how well do I know them? How well do they know me? And that's the honest thing. I don't know if many of them truly know me very well. Like they knew the basic face and facade of what showed up there, but how much do they actually know me or my beliefs or my character or just what they see for a couple hours on Thanksgiving, Christmas, so it's,
Do you think that stemmed from a deep desire to be known, or do you think that stemmed from a desire to know others better? Or was it a combination?
well, I'd have to default to the being known myself first and foremost, but then recognizing that it's not just a me thing.
Yeah.
Like it's a fatal flaw, shall we say, in me that I recognize to be something that I'm just is part of who I am.
Yeah.
Being seen, being known is something that I greatly desired and lacked young in my life. And now I recognize, where that comes from in Christ. So I have more fulfillment there. But then it still means in the relationships I have, I still want to be known and seen.
Yeah.
And I want the people around me that I'm in a relationship with to know that I know them and see them, that I actually care.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that I've done in my life actually correlate to that. And as we were just talking about, I don't think we turned on the cameras yet, but when it comes to, Christmas is coming up.
Yeah.
And my wife's family, Christmas Eve is always their big get together. Katie's mom's one of 6 kids. So another fairly large gathering, not quite as big as the other, but regularly 20 to 30 people every Christmas, split between some levels, some people talking, watching football, the normal kind of split. Some people are just sitting around the food eating, whatever it is. And the fact that Katie and I have we try to put a lot of thought into gifts for people, where for so long it's gone to the society of, oh, well, just give them a gift card so they can choose what they want.
Yep.
Where's the thought? Where's the care? Where's the knowing that person or knowing anything about them?
Yeah.
I don't want to even take 5 minutes to find out what you like and try to go find something. Like you can still give them a gift receipt in case you give them something they already have, or, well, you got them the white Ninjago, they like the green Ninjago or something. Who knows what? Like, okay, so there could be a nuance and you just didn't know.
Yeah.
But at least you put the effort, thought into it. And now her family, some of them are going, hey, we'd like to get away from gift cards and do gifts because the kids kind of feel like they don't feel anything from it.
Yeah.
Duh. If you don't know people, if you don't see people, if you don't give some extra care.
Yeah. Some time and some connection, right?
Yeah.
Intentionally spending time, intentionally connecting with people, finding out what they're interested in, asking them more questions than, how weather, how a sports game, which is all well and good. That stuff is fine too.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to those conversations. Don't think I'm opposed to those conversations at all.
I used to be. I used to be shallow enough that I disliked small talk.
No.
I used to be shallow enough that I disliked small talk. I might get some fight from that one.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think small talk has a really, really important function.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not discrediting small talk. It's do we just stick to small talk and is it always small talk?
Right. Yeah. And finding out who it is that you can actually communicate with on a deeper level, and valuing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, with that small talk, big talk thing, I think that's another thing too that I recognize as an adult. And maybe we're doing it totally wrong and the chips will fall where they fall. But I felt like as a kid, there was what we did as kids, and then there's adults, and there's like the adult conversation stuff.
Yeah.
And as kids, you weren't really brought into any of that. And then as a teenager and then as a young adult, you're brought in a little bit, but still kind of on the outside of all that. And as years go by, you like slowly get brought in more and more, like it's an in club to be part of.
Yep.
And yes, there's some things that, you just don't need to bring kids into
right
at a young age. Totally fine. I respect that. But I think sometimes we keep those lines so segregated and split off that we miss the opportunity for that growing together, that bridging generations and starting to bond.
Yep.
And bringing them in, that it creates this like, I don't know, just a divide.
Mhm.
That, I don't know. I hope we're doing better at that. Who knows? Maybe we overcorrect a little much the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or the other way. I don't know if it's the wrong way.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that there's right or wrong here. There's kind of your normal, because kids are really, really resilient. You can offer them too much information too soon, for sure. And you can scar them with information or experiences. Yes, I definitely hear that. But children are just little humans that are learning how to think and are learning how to communicate. And as we have real conversations with them, it's amazing what a 6, 7, 8-year-old can understand and reflect back to you. It's truly incredible. And if you think that your teenager isn't able to have an opinion about politics, about, religion, about the death penalty, about all of these different topics, that's because you as a parent have failed to give them the tools to have that conversation, right?
Or you're afraid of it.
Yeah, could be.
I think that's a lot of times that they're fearful of giving them that. Where I can definitely say that Katie and I have gone in the opposite direction to that. We've instilled definitely free thinking and critical thinking, and for good or bad.
Yeah.
Because when you have a strongly opinionated teenager, especially when they make really good arguments, and then the not fully developed hormonal side of them kicks in, and then they make completely irrational, crazy statements, you're like, you're making this very challenging right now.
Right.
Because one side of you is spot on. The other side is an idiot.
Do you recognize the non sequitur here? Yep.
We're doing great. Switch, not great.
Yeah.
Love you to death. It'll be great in like 5 years when you mature through this and we can look back and laugh. But right now,
yeah. And to be clear, he's not specifying which of his children, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah.
I absolutely love my kids, and I'm excited to see who they become and proud of the people they're becoming. Absolutely.
Yep.
And it's going to have its challenges. And that's if you raise them up to have critical thinking and strong beliefs and stand on their own 2 feet, inevitably you're going to have moments where you butt heads with them.
Yep.
That's just going to happen. And then it's, how do you actually traverse those things? Do you go, I'm the parent, this is what it is? Some situations do call for that.
Yep.
Absolutely. Hands down. We're the parents. This is our house.
Yep.
Certain things it applies. But then there's a lot of places where, okay, you're allowed to have that opinion. You're allowed to be wrong. That's fine.
Yeah. This is one place where I give my mom a ton of credit, because she would give us all of the tools to argue with her and justify a change in the rules. And I used that. I had a very challenger personality, if you will.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And so it turned out that we really would push. But she taught us how to do it fair. And so we would, as long as we were fighting fair, we could change the rules. So that was interesting.
Yeah, if you could provide enough evidence to support the hypothesis of whatever you're presenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But if your evidence doesn't mount up or make sense, or you haven't thought 4 steps down the road to where it falls apart, like, oh, okay.
Yep.
So mom and dad aren't idiots. Okay. Maybe they do have some experience.
Yeah. I had a funny conversation with one of my sons the other day on, well, here's how this is going to go, right? This is what I see, right? And so right now you're agreeing with me, And in this many years, you're going to think I'm stupid. And then in this many years, you're going to figure out, wait, I don't have the whole idea of this. And then in this many more years, you're going to go, oh, shoot, maybe dad was right. And you will either determine, no, he wasn't right, but I understand how he came to his conclusion, or you'll come to the conclusion that I was right all along. And so you go through this like, dad's really smart, dad's really dumb. Oh, wait, maybe dad has a point. Oh, dad's smart. And a lot of us do this with our kids.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny pattern to watch play out of kids realizing as they become adults, they become parents themselves, realizing, oh, my being an adult is fake. We're all just trying to figure it out. And people with more experience and a little more knowledge on these areas can make better moves. And you talk about thinking about, 3 or 4 steps down the line, second, third order consequences, et cetera. When we're kids, we think we're really, really good at playing verbal checkers. And sometimes we don't realize that we're playing chess with somebody, right?
Yeah.
And then weird Uncle Steve over there is playing Go. And none of us understand the game he's playing, but he's better at it than all of us, right? For the record, I do not have an uncle named Steve. That was contrived. But
we all have an Uncle Steve.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you figure out that the weird uncle was the smart one all along, and you're like, oh, but that's tough. That can be really tough.
I think that's, moving, because Thanksgiving and Christmas, a lot of that for us was the same kind of thing. My grandparents actually hosted Christmas Day. That was weird. Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. But then as I met my wife, we started to do Christmas Eve with her family, Christmas Day with my family. Some family would show up for both days there. Some family would only show up Christmas Eve. Some would only show up Christmas Day. But I mean, just over this season of life, there'd be a lot of time spent with family. And I think as you talk about that of like, oh, you're smart. Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, maybe you are smarter than I thought you were. Okay, no, you actually knew something about that. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how growing up in a family, and especially as a kid, the lens you see family and these gatherings and stuff through. And then as you get older, some of the weird uncle stuff are like, oh, well, that's just your weird uncle and they're crazy. And then after a while, you're like, they don't seem as crazy as everybody made them out to be. So he's not, wait a minute, who's the crazy one here? And a lot of it just comes down to different approaches and opinions in life and stuff. And not that anybody is per se crazy. It's just when the main group goes one way and then one is on a different path, they can be seen as the quote unquote crazy one. Doesn't mean that they are.
Yep.
Or they can be ostracized, or, there's different things that just play out in that for any number of reasons, or people holding grudges for decades for some of the most mundane things. And you're like, what? Why would you ever do that? And then
sometimes it's life experiences, right? You have some really interesting life experiences. So, cool. Family members who have been through things that you don't know that you don't know how to conceptualize them yet.
Yeah.
Right. You don't know that you have no tools in order to have an idea of how to think about what they've been through. And it takes you a few years to figure it out. Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's so fascinating how sometimes figuring out how to listen long enough and then get the mental framework of how do I understand their story from their perspective. And then you go, oh, wow. Okay. So this guy is a little bit wild because he worked as a contractor with the government in war zones. And he's seen things that I can't imagine. And he gets very, very particularly passionate about these topics, and maybe I shouldn't push those buttons because I think it's funny when he gets angry.
Fair.
Real thing. I was not the one pushing his buttons. But yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Well,
how about for your Christmases?
So let me go to Christmas as a kid, just so I get a chance to get some of these out, because I'm a little excited to talk about the Tale of Three Christmases. So as a kid, we typically had 3 Christmases, one with one family, one with the other family, and then one with just my immediate family. So one of the families was a very gift-oriented Christmas. There were lots of kids. The kids got super excited, and Grandma and Grandpa loved to give gifts. And so the aunts and uncles also did some gifts here and there, but this was really Grandma's opportunity. Hey, look, we're old. I love shopping. I love doting on my kids. I am going to go all out. And so she would buy crazy amounts of gifts. It would take us half an hour to hand out all the gifts. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So depending on the year, between 8 and 15 kids, you were a kid until you turned 16. That's how they treated it, right?
Yeah.
So 16, you could maybe opt out of some of the kid things. But some of us didn't, and so you still continued to be a kid until you moved out of your parents' house, and so that was fun. But but it was a very gift-oriented Christmas. So we would come together, we would have a meal, but then we would take a ton of time handing out all the gifts, and then a ton of time opening gifts, and the kids would count who got gifts and how many gifts each person got. And it was a status game to see who got the most gifts. And Grandma knew that it was a status game, so she worked really hard to get everyone the same number of gifts and to kind of watch the status game unfold. I mean, sometimes things were competitive between cousins. So that sort of stuff happened, but she was very thoughtful. She really loved giving gifts.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was way too much. I mean, it
definitely can be.
Even looking back as a kid, sometimes I'd be like, this is wild. This is too much. And a lot of these weren't even necessarily like really big, expensive gifts. It was just numerically a lot and a lot of things to carry. The aunts and uncles really loved giving each other's kids noisy toys on purpose with batteries in them already. So they would open the toys, put batteries in, and then put the toys back in the packaging so that
the car ride home was great.
Oh yeah, it was just wild. But this family's love language at Christmas was gifts. And one year, Grandma's list had a mistake, and I got 0 gifts. And I forget how old I was. I was in elementary school, but I forget how old I was. But I had learned, I still, BOA, we talk about gratitude a lot, right? I had learned I have enough, my parents are good. They'll take care of me. God is good. He'll take care of me, right? I don't need a whole bunch of stuff. I already think the number of gifts we get and the number of things we have to carry home is excessive, right? So it's okay. But I spent the whole evening kind of being excited for my cousins and enjoying their gifts and playing with their toys with them once they were done opening things and whatever. And then we got in the car to go home. And as we're going home, I'm upset, and my parents figure out I'm upset, and they ask, "Hey, what's going on?" And I don't remember exactly what I said. I was young, but I essentially said that I felt forgotten. And, well, what do you mean? Well, because we were used to the count all the gifts game, right? It was immediately obvious that I had been left out because everyone else had gotten, in the teens, like 18 gifts apiece from grandma and grandpa. And I had gotten like 3 or 5. So I had just fallen off of grandma's list somehow by accident. They were mortified. They totally went to Kmart the next day, bought me a bunch of stuff, brought it over specifically, whatever. But it's really interesting how that's sort of a thing when you set the event to be about gifts and gift giving and feeling love based on the gifts you receive. When a mistake happens, how hard that hits, right? And I harbor no resentment about this at all because it was a mistake, and I didn't harbor any resentment at the time. But it is really interesting to me, again, being a little more analytically bent, how upset I was about something that didn't really hurt me.
See, but you can absolutely not hold resentment, but still feel the pain.
Still have the feeling, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And still feel left out and still feel forgotten and ignored and have all the questions and doubt of, well, do they love me? Why did I get left out? What did I do? Was I not good enough? What, like all those, they're rational, natural thoughts and feelings that go through your brain.
Yeah.
Now, not harboring a resentment, not carrying that forward is a good, healthy way to go through that. And talking to your parents and being able to talk to them and them buying you a ton of gifts to make it right isn't necessarily, I get it, but wasn't even necessarily what needed to happen there.
Yeah. But what else were they going to do? This was, as soon as my grandma found out about the mistake, right? She was so upset and she wanted to make sure that she made it right as quick as she could. But, a panic Kmart run on December 28th or something, because we had our party late, that's going to be tough.
Well, that's exactly where, like, I get that, like, oh, I have to immediately make a shift and make this right. But if we all, like, if you take this as a like a moment and say, okay, let's step out of ourselves for a minute, recognize, okay, this went awry.
Yeah.
This isn't how we want it to be.
Yeah.
If they came to you and said, hey, mistake was made.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is after Christmas and New Year's, we're going to pick you up. We're going to take you shopping. And you get to go pick out a couple things that you want specifically.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing. Make it, make it a, like, not just, oh, we're going to flood you with these things. Like, how do we spin this around and make it a real positive experience in the end of it? Like,
yeah. Well, it depends on the age of the kid and your opportunity. And so the other thing,
for sure.
The other thing to know is that for part of my childhood, my grandparents were actually living, I'm trying to stay away from specific locations. They were living a 7 or 8 hour drive away. Right. And so after Christmas was over, their opportunities to see their grandkids were a little more limited, when I was young, when I was littler. Yeah. And I don't remember exactly when this one happened. But I think this one happened during that time frame where we were living further apart. And so their window of opportunity was short.
That's fair.
So, but yeah. So I thought that was an interesting, this Christmas was so focused on gift giving, opening gifts. They were very creative. The gifts were very creative, very fun. We had lots of fun. There was so many laughs, and we have lots of video. And there was this competitive nature of who got the best gifts, who got the most gifts, whose gifts were worth the most money. And that created a really interesting situation when one person got forgotten. And in this case, it was me, because if it was somebody else, I probably wouldn't be telling the story.
Probably not.
So, yeah. Anyway, so that's in the tale of three Christmases,
That's Christmas one.
that's Christmas number one.
And now,
Let's move on to the second Christmas.
yes, I've been in suspense.
Yeah. Well, the second Christmas was our typical Christmas Eve. And this was the other side of the family. And on this side of the family, when we would get together, the focus was the family being together. So on the other side, it kind of explained how that all worked and when it was great grandma versus when it was grandma and gathering all the people together.
Yeah.
On this other side, it was a bunch of brothers and sisters and cousins holding the extended family together. And people would travel from at least 5 or 6 states to collapse together. And I know in some places in the Northeast, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But we had people coming from both coasts to collapse into the Midwest for these Christmas parties and other things with their families, I'm sure. You don't just travel on the 24th for one thing.
Yeah.
But we would all collapse together, and the party was all about sitting down and having a nice meal together. And we would sit all together. So again, contrasting the other family, the kids would be intermingled with the adults, expected to participate in the adult conversation. It was really oriented around, let's talk about our lives. Let's enjoy each other's company. Let's tell jokes. Let's be silly. And that's what it was. It was an interesting variety of people, all related, right? So not super different in terms of where we come from.
Yep.
But quite a bit different in how we lived our lives at that time and what level of education everyone had.
Yeah.
And so, we had doctors and mathematicians, and we had blue collar, and we had, a whole bunch of different mixture there, and people treated each other really well. And there's a bunch of respect. These parties were fun, and they were fun because of all of the jokes we were telling around the table and hearing each other's belly laughs. The kids would get gifts, a couple, 1 or 2 gifts per kid, but none of the adults got gifts. One of the other things we did that was really fun is that Santa showed up with all of the kids' gifts. And this will give you an idea of, in contrast to the gifts at the other party, the gifts at this party, Santa was able to carry a sack with all of the gifts for the entire party. And we usually had 30 to 50 people. So with 50 people and one sack carries all of the gifts, it gives you an idea. It's not, we had a bunch of like big things for the 3 and 4-year-olds, and then a bunch of little stuff for the older kids. And, it was a fun time. However, Santa was selected from the adults at the party, typically the adults who themselves didn't have children at the party. And for several years there, our Santa was this wonderful relative of mine. I've been back and forth. Do I tell you her name or not? She's very funny. She's around 6 feet tall, and she would get dressed up in this Santa suit. And she did not play Mrs. Santa Claus. She played Santa Claus. And it was very, very funny because one of our traditions was that, Santa would come up and ring the doorbell. And then when Santa would come in, we had one Santa suit that whoever was wearing it would wear. And she was very, very thin. And so this Santa suit was an absolute mess on her. And also, Santa's supposed to be fat and jolly. And so there were lots of pokes and teasing. And it was fun for me kind of in my, once I was perceiving what was going on here. It was fun watching that dynamic because like, oh, Santa, your suit's not fitting that well. Santa, your belt's practically falling off. And then, there were boots that were part of the outfit as well. And she was absolutely swimming in the boots. Didn't work at all. She's tripping all over the place because the boots were too big. And and so the tradition was very much like everyone makes fun of Santa while Santa hands out gifts. There were a couple of years that I got to be Santa because my sisters were old enough that they weren't doing, they recognized that Santa wasn't a thing, and almost everybody else had kids. And so as I think I was 15 and 16 or something, but I got to be Santa a couple times as well. And it's just a stitch because, they make fun of you and then you make fun of them back, but you have to be careful because you're a jolly Santa Claus. You can't be too biting, right? And you have to tell jokes that mostly the kids don't get. And so there was a lot of fun with that party, but that party was all about the family and the conversation and the togetherness, right? That brings a completely different dynamic to the presence-focused party. And the reason we looked forward to that one, I didn't mention, on this party too, everyone would dress up. So there was no show up in a t-shirt. Everyone would dress up for this party. You would wear your nice clothes. And occasionally you would throw an ugly Christmas sweater on top. But if you were wearing an ugly Christmas sweater, you had a button up and a tie on underneath of it, right? And so, yeah, it was also a fancy dress up event. And so it's kind of funny to think about that. It seems like, almost seems like an Arthurian legend at this point when I think about what that party was. Those ended when I was still a teenager, unfortunately. Maybe I was in my early 20s. But those were really key parties for me in my Christmas.
No doubt. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely think back with my grandparents. They definitely didn't have it every year, but they definitely had years where they had a Santa come to the house, which was usually like a family friend comes to Santa, or somebody who played Santa in the neighborhood come and hand out some gifts and stuff. And I think for me, most of my growing up, I went to the same grandparents' house Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And interestingly, you talk about your tale of three Christmases. I have essentially a tale of two Christmases, but at the same household, just Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Very different experiences. But the Christmas Eve we would have the gift giving, and it was generally the bigger event that people came to and stuff. And where my grandparents weren't, my grandma loved giving gifts for sure. It wasn't the focus, but she wanted everybody to know that they were valued and thought of. So everybody got a gift. And to that, I remember showing up to Christmas one year with a girlfriend. That grandma didn't know that was coming, and finding out she went rummaging through closets and shelves and things to find something to put in a bag to give to her so that she didn't feel left out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't big, crazy, extravagant things. There wasn't like with yours where there was so much a competition on things. Although a funny story to that is for years, I don't know if it was aunts got kids gifts, but names were passed around or exactly what it was. But yeah, I think it's like families got names and they bought gifts for kids kind of thing or something like that. And so my aunt and uncle had gotten my name and they got me a really nice starter jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the limit on gifts was like $20 to $25. My other aunt was very upset with this. But the aunt and uncle that got it for me always shop thrift stores and clearances and deals, and they didn't go over the budget.
Mm.
But the value of the item or perceived value of the item that I got was far in excess of what other people got.
Mm-hmm.
So she got upset because her kids got things that weren't as valuable as that.
Mm.
And I found that just profound and fascinating instead of being like, that's amazing that you found this great deal on something that's worth way more
Mm-hmm.
for them. It was more of you have, I don't have. And it's sad to view it that way because for me, I look at that. And if somebody had that happen the other way, I'm going to be excited for them.
Yeah.
Excited for the person that gave the gift, excited for the person getting the gift. Like you're able to score that for that. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person gets that much better of a gift from that. So,
yeah.
But so, I mean, some gift giving on that side of things. But what you're describing is a lot more of what our Sunday, Christmas Day stuff was. You had less of the families because half of the 10 kids of the family would have other family things that they would go to.
Mm-hmm.
Only a certain portion would come to both. And so it'd be, the ham dinner would be a smaller, not gift oriented, just nice meal.
Mm-hmm.
You generally did. I feel like we generally did dress nicer too on Sunday, Christmas Day than Christmas Eve. Like that was if you're going to wear something nicer, you wore more the nicer thing on Christmas Day, not Christmas Eve. So it's interesting, like as you're doing the Tale of Three Christmases, I'm like, well, the first two here I kind of have in a way of speaking.
Yeah.
We definitely weren't like, you didn't have to wear the suit and tie and it wasn't has to be formal and it wasn't everybody sitting together.
Yeah.
Like we were still spaced around, but it was.
Yeah. Well, and the mechanics of this too, the first Christmas happened whenever we could all schedule it. So that the first Christmas wasn't on the 24th or 25th.
Fair.
The second Christmas that I just described to you was consistently on the 24th, and it was a tent pole, right? That one was always there.
Yep.
That one didn't move. The first Christmas one moved because of the difficulty of giving everyone in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
And different people living in different states coming together. And, Grandma and Grandpa being out of state, but being the primary ones planning the party was a factor there. And once they were closer by, it actually got easier. But often, a week before Christmas, a week after Christmas, just whenever we could make it happen.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So the second Christmas, though, eventually ended.
Second Christmas eventually ended. The first Christmas ended more recently. Maybe was I 30 already? So yeah, but the second Christmas one, that one lasted for a while, and that's fortunate. So my youngest, I think my youngest got to attend a couple of the first Christmas celebrations, but I bet he doesn't remember. I bet he's got no recollection of it.
Yeah.
And those changed over time too, because as all of the grandkids, I was the second oldest of the grandkids. But as all of us kind of aged out, became adults, got married, the dynamic changed. And then we, the family actually adopted a bunch of kids. And so we added more kids into the mix, and kind of had an in-between generation. And then the older ones started having kids as well. And now that in-between generation, they're having children now. So it's kind of fun. I have all these adopted cousins that are making families of their own now. So pretty fun. Anyway, moving on from there. For me, one more thing about the second Christmas. There was, I mentioned gifts for the kids, but not for the adults. The only gifts that were for the adults were the years that we did White Elephant Gift Exchange.
Oh boy.
And just for the audience, if you haven't heard of a White Elephant Gift Exchange, the White Elephant gift is referring to, classically, there's a lot of variations on this story, to a large, heavy white elephant that is a doorstop that nobody wants. And it keeps getting handed around in the family as a gift, as a joke, because nobody wants it. And you're just trying to get rid of this doorstop or paperweight but it keeps getting handed around in a circle. So a white elephant gift exchange, sometimes it's joke gifts and sometimes it's real gifts. And you wrap something up and you bring it to the party, and then everyone ends up grabbing a random gift. And then there's a stealing round where people can steal gifts from each other. And so since some of the gifts are desirable and some of the gifts you definitely don't want, you end up tossing those. And one of these Christmases, one of the last ones, I had this great aunt who, I think she was over 100 at the time. It was right in that range. She was between 98 and 102. I forget exactly which year this occurred.
Yep.
But she pulled her white elephant gift, and it was a second wind exercise equipment hat, like a ball cap. And she put it on her head, grinned, grabbed the paper that the hat was wrapped in, balled it up in a ball, leaned on her walker, stood up, and then underhand pitched it like a softball pitcher at one of her sons, who's in his late 70s or 80s.
That is awesome.
And that is a very formative memory.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the spirit we all hope to have at that age.
Yeah. And that it gives you an idea of what these parties were, because everyone was laughing like crazy when she opened it. And then she stands up and softball pitches at her son. And we all were crying. We're just crying because the moment is so funny and she's leaning into it. It was really good. So anyway.
That's awesome.
So first Christmas, little more like lots of gift giving, which was great. A little more materialistic.
Yeah.
For sure. A little more competitive, for sure.
Yeah.
The second Christmas, very relational, a little harder for the kids to get involved in, but the expectation is that the kids interact with adults and that we actually learn about each other's lives. And it's really great for maturing, really great for the kids to have to engage with these really smart, experienced people and cross-pollinate with the adults instead of running off and playing board games in the basement, right?
Yep.
Then the third Christmas. The third Christmas is the most meaningful to me. And that was our typical Christmas morning. So our typical Christmas morning, we would wake up and we had to wait until everyone was awake. There was a string holding us back, right? And so nobody could see anything, and nobody could go anywhere. And we would all enforce this rule on each other that nobody can go and see it first. Because, we all wanted to go see the tree. So we had to wait for our parents to get up. And if we got up too early, they would make us wait. We were not the kids woke up at 5 a.m. family. No, you had to wait until the adults were ready to go. So we would wake up, wait for the string to be untied, and then there were stockings by the fire. And so we would go down, we would open up our stockings, and it was, little knickknacks and some treats. Nothing extravagant in the stockings, just kind of fun, lots of little things to open, lots of tissue paper. So it took a lot of time to unwrap everything, but just little things to be excited about. And we, the way we did it, we would add things to each other's stockings as well. So everyone would participate in filling the stockings.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So you had to do that carefully because you didn't want to find out what any of your stuff was in advance, right?
Yeah. You want to be surprised because that's
exactly
the fun of it.
Exactly. So after that, after we opened up our stockings, usually with a fire going, we had a Christmas breakfast. And that Christmas breakfast would include hot cocoa or apple cider, some sort of pastry almost every year, and conversation. We would talk. So we would spend time talking to each other, talking about things we were thankful for, focusing on gratitude. And we would read the Christmas story from the book of Luke. Every single year, we read the Christmas story from the book of Luke. We were realigning to the fact that Christmas is about Jesus. Christmas is about God giving us Jesus, who's the greatest gift we could ever receive, because it's the opportunity for us to commune with God.
Yeah.
Right. And to have, that's part of why it's so meaningful.
Absolutely.
And as a kid, it was sometimes boring and annoying because you want to move on to the next thing. And as an adult looking back, I'm saying to myself, why don't I do this every single year? I should make sure I do this every single year. So after we read the Christmas story, which is very important, then we would go to the tree and we would undo gifts and just hang out for the rest of the afternoon. Christmas Day for us, before I got married, was quiet. It was a quiet day. It was really focused
Before
on.
you got married, why would it got louder if you got married?
Hey, well, we can go into that, but we don't necessarily need to. Things change when you get married,
Weird.
But before I got married, Christmas Day was almost always a quiet day to spend at home, just the immediate family. Occasionally, we would invite somebody over, and we would have, one or two people. Usually it was a couple. Usually 2 people over for a little while. But usually it was just us. And so having that day of rest, digest, enjoy each other's company, be grateful for the things that we'd received, but also reflecting on the gratitude of how that year had been. And also, I'm sure, an opportunity for my parents to rest a little bit from the wildness of the Christmas season. So
that is fair.
Yeah.
Because as a parent, we all know how the build-up and the running and the family events and the getting here and the getting there, and want the kids to have good experiences and memories. And I think that as a parent more than, gifts are cool. We all like gifts. If anybody wants to lie and say we don't all like gifts or whatever, we all like gifts. Do we need to focus on materialism, and do we need a bunch of gifts? No. But we all enjoy when somebody takes time to think of us and get something that's thoughtful and meaningful for us. Yeah, when you get 7 gift cards from people, you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
When somebody gets you a first edition of a CD from 20 years ago from somebody you really like, and it's signed, and you're like, how did you even find this?
That sounds very specific. Actually happened. Yeah.
No, but I'm just thinking of things that would be like amazing. Like, I wasn't going to go into specifics of things that have happened that that I've done.
Fair enough.
Just trying to go something that was like, but something where you could tell somebody put thought into it. There's things I've shared of gifting people and scenarios and things that people don't even know that I had anything to do with it. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun to give meaningful, intentional gifts when people don't know.
Yeah.
And
and
it's
when,
you.
and to have an impact and do things for people, and for people not to know where it comes from or be able to do things. And it's so important. It's so valuable. It can get lost so quickly in the world we live in today.
Yeah.
And with chasing everything. So I can totally imagine your parents are like, yes.
Yeah. One thing I love that my parents did is that they had nap time. And
sounds amazing.
Nap time was usually Sundays, but also certain holidays. They would have nap time where they would disappear to their room, and we just knew to leave them alone. We went and did our own thing. right? And your retroactive on that is, oh, that's interesting. They intentionally went and spent time together. Maybe they were sleeping. Maybe they weren't sleeping. Maybe they were, having some time together that they really needed. Maybe they were having some conversation that they really needed. Whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
they were intentional about having some time together during the middle of the day.
Yep.
Even while their kids were up and around doing things, playing outside, playing inside,
Yep.
whatever the case is, they were very intentional about it, and they guarded it such that we knew not to interrupt them.
Yeah.
That was, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing to think about.
It's a very cool thing. And it's biblical to prioritize a relationship with your wife over your kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to neglect your kids. It's not to overlook them, treat them poorly.
Yeah. But our standard of neglect now is so silly. It's a silly bar, right?
Oh, it's arbitrarily thrown around for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just simply saying, like, that's...
You didn't help him with his math homework. You're neglecting him. What? That's not how that word works.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And that's carving out that and making sure. And that's something that I know we could do better at, but that's been something that we've, for a long time, Katie and I have focused very much on being intentional with the kids recognize it's us and then you.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we love you. Yes, we brought you into this world. Yes, we're going to do everything we can to assist you in launching into this world.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually you're going to launch into this world without us.
Mm-hmm.
We have joined in union, us and God,
Mm-hmm.
and we intend to keep it that way. And to do that and do that in a healthy way, we have to carve out time for each other and prioritize each other, because when you guys are gone, it'd be really bad if you guys leave and then we're just some stranger roommates living together, because that can be a real problem that people run into.
Yeah.
So carving out that time and being intentional with that is just a super cool, whatever they were doing at that time, there was an intentional time that they were spending.
Yep.
It's our time.
Yep.
And it was a known time that the kids knew that it could be spent with them, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is very formidable and wise.
It was a great model for sure. Yeah. So we all need to balance traditions and make our own. I don't want to talk too much about what my family does. But there are a couple of things. One, we do the Lego Advent calendars.
Yeah, those are fun.
Which is just a silly little thing to mention.
They're fun though.
My wife watches Lego sales really closely and then finds opportunities to pick things up on sale. And she finds these ridiculous sales where it's 75, 80% off on stuff. I don't know if that's how she gets these Advent calendars, because every year there's a new one. So
yeah,
can she possibly get them that discounted? Maybe. She's really good at this. And kind of similar to when I was growing up, my wife makes a special pastry on Christmas Day, most years, almost every year. And this is a thing that is rare for us to have. It's like birthdays, Christmas, first day of school, sometimes Easter. It's not something we make whenever we feel like it. And so it stands out. It's a fun thing to do, and it takes effort. It takes effort to make. We all have to balance our traditions, create our own. And, I was joking about until I got married earlier a little bit, and you chuckled about that. When you get married, folks, both families have their own normal, and you are completely throwing that normal up in the air. And especially if you are the first one in both families to interrupt the normal, which my wife and I were.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, that was involved. right? And, one of the ways that we addressed that when we were newly married and we didn't have any kids yet is we just tried to go to everything. And so it was hectic.
Yeah, we did even together and then even with kids for quite some time. It's only in recent time, really, 5, 8 years, something in there. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, I think some of the life changes that have happened, as we talked before, losing dad and father-in-law, and then my grandma was gone, grandpa passing away, some of the patriarchs of the family passing away and things just changing and dynamics and how things are happening. But when we were first together, even with kid and all, we would be hitting multiple Christmases, multiple Easters, multiple Thanksgivings. Yeah. Like we were doing the whole thing. And on one hand, there's some fun memories out of that. On the other hand, oh my gosh, there's some stress from that. Mm-hmm. If we didn't have any of our own thing, it was what everybody else wanted and appeasing that for so long. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, and again, I don't want that to sound bad because I have a ton of amazing memories from that season, and when you have the first grandkid and you're spending time and the grandparents get to give them gifts and see them open them, that's amazing. Don't get me wrong, I don't like that. But when you're trying to structure two families and their stuff together, and then you have your own family stuff and you're trying to fit this all, and you still have a career and a life and you're working and your time to get these things, the windows and stuff aren't huge.
Right.
It can become a lot for sure.
It can.
And that's, as you talked about some of the different, when I grew up, we had for our family, we'd read the night before Christmas. Usually who is I'm going to forget. Is it the mouse guy? Gosh, what's the name now? I forget. Anyway, little critters. That's it. Night before Christmas. And we would read that. We'd all sit around. Usually before bedtime, everybody would get a gift, which was new pajamas. Yeah. So you'd have pajamas, Christmas pajamas to sleep in, or whether they're Christmas or not. And then read the tale, maybe have some cider, cocoa. Yeah. Couple treats.
Good stuff.
More sugar, because who doesn't need more sugar? Mm-hmm. Go to bed. And then we had the same thing. As a kid, we had we're all upstairs. You can't come down the stairs till parents are up and they say, you can come down, and police each other. Of course, that was just because not ruin it for everybody kind of thing. But then even after Katie and I got together and we had our first kid, we would still, we talked about it and she was cool with it and honoring to me and my family. We would go stay the night up there with them and actually do the same traditions, stay the night, get up in the morning, and then my siblings would be there, and then we'd all open gifts, and then they'd have their grandchild there with them, and we'd come down in the morning and wait till everybody and the same kind of thing. So we did that for a handful of years initially, which was interesting. It was cool, a cool experience. I'm glad that we did it. I'm glad that we grew out of it, because you have to start making your own, and it's a lot to navigate.
Yeah, it's really tough when you're trying to do husband's family traditions, wife's family traditions, and then you want to make your own family traditions as well.
Yeah.
And when it's just the two of you, it's kind of difficult to prioritize that. And once your own kids come along, your stress level ratchets way up. And then it's hard to start crafting your own traditions if you haven't done it already.
Yeah.
Because your stress level is way up and you're trying to please everybody else.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be some intentionality there. There needs to be some clarity.
Yeah.
And everyone is going to do that differently. So for anyone watching, figure out how to prioritize. And sometimes that stressful feeling of running around and spending time with family, you can shift that stress into something really positive with a mindset shift, right? Thinking about others, thinking about who do I want to connect with? How am I going to connect with them? What questions do I need to ask? And who needs some care? At this party I'm going to, and by shifting to that external focus, you can make some progress against that. It's not always easy when you have demands on your time, when you have demands on your energy.
I think the biggest thing that I would advise, like the younger version of myself, which I hope that I could speak that for people out there that are listening, is that the sooner that you recognize these things, the sooner that you're intentionally approaching them, the better off you'll be. I think a lot of it in our younger years, it was just happenstance that we stumble our way through things, not intentionality behind it. And the sooner you can start getting intentional and, okay, you're together, you're a couple, you don't have kids. Well, the intentionality might be, okay, well, we're just going to try to do everybody's thing right now.
Right.
But what's the off ramp look like as we become our own unit, as we have kids? Can we think a few steps down the road now so we can start making the shifts now so that it's more of an easy transition instead of a Dukes of Hazzard exit off the highway kind of thing? Because I feel like for most people, that's where real friction comes into families and stuff, because there's not a lot of thought and planning that goes into it. And all of a sudden, families grow. They're not sure how to make it all work. And all of a sudden, it's like, gotta go. And that's it. And then there's a bunch of friction and people are hurt and they feel abandoned and a whole bunch of things, where if you would have just a couple steps back, had a conversation, made some tweaks, we never had any massive, not that I felt or that I've seen or been told, massive friction or fallout from any of it, but it's just, it could have been handled a lot better, a lot healthier along the way. Because we'd have Christmas Eve with her family and my family, then so that's her extended family, my extended family, then go up to my parents' house, stay the night, get up in the morning, do stuff there, leave from there, go to her parents' house, do stuff with her parents, then the afternoon, go back to my extended family, grandparents' house again. And then finally, sometime at the end of Christmas Day, we'd have some time for ourselves. Like somewhere in there. And again, there's some incredible memories and experiences that come out of that. I'm not looking to go back and erase what happened at all. If I was to do it again going forward, I would be more strategic in planning it. It's not that I wouldn't necessarily do some of these things. I might just pick and choose each year a little bit differently. And as we got older, we did. Now Christmas Eve we do with her family. Christmas Day would be with my side of the family, kind of thing. And some of that, since my grandpa passed away, kind of has diffused quite a bit. And there's not a lot of stuff that goes on there. So actually Christmas Day kind of looks a little more like your family's, except for instead of being super awesome and like reading Bible stories and spending a whole lot of time together, like we're very intentional with ourselves. And then we're one of those families that goes and sees a movie on Christmas. And
that's all well and good too, because it's a shared experience.
And we all go in our pajamas, just lazy blankets and pajamas, and just, it's us and the other 20 people that show up for it. But that's something we started doing years ago, that it's just like, we want something to be that just our thing, nobody else. Love y'all, but this is us. Fun
and simple, and go hang out and share that movie together. That's better than atomizing, right? And you all just go off to your own place. And I am painting a picture of what some of the years that I consider to be the best were. So don't compare your hectic now to my historic best, right? That's one
That's
thing.
Episode number 2, where we go through the horrors of it.
Yeah. I would avoid calling them horrors for sure.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the best word to use because
But I definitely had, I've definitely had years where it was 3 parties in church on the 24th and 3 parties on the 25th. And you get to that second party on the 25th and you already want to strangle somebody. And you're like, I got to go to this third party. And you stop at a gas station on the way to the third party just to breathe. Right? I've had those too. Yeah. So calibrate. But yeah, I just put out a piece yesterday on Substack talking about presence, talking about as you approach a party, how can you reset your mind to be thinking about the people that are going to be there and how you can connect with them, how you can be intentional about your time and your questions in order to help you feed into them and for them to give back to you too. All right. And you don't love and invest in people because you're going to get back. But when you love and invest in people, you'll get back. Right. Not from everybody, not all the time. But that's the only way. And so it's one thing that I've been saying a lot for the last few years is if you are lonely, be the one who reaches out to somebody else who's in need. Be the one who reaches out to somebody else who's lonely. Be their friend. Because if you wait for your needs to be met, you might be waiting a really long time. So, yeah,
absolutely.
That plays out here as well. Well, what are your Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, other traditions? What does that look like for you? I'm sure we could talk about this longer and longer.
Oh, we could.
But I think I kind of would like to hear from you all. What do your traditions look like? What do you want your traditions look like? How can you be more intentional about building those out or participating in ones that exist today? Can you be more present and aware by thinking about the people you're going to see? Can you connect more deeply with your family and probably friends too, both that you're going to see and celebrate with and the ones that you will not see over the holidays, maybe because you're traveling or they're traveling or the busyness doesn't allow you to connect, but you're thinking about them. Lean into those things. Relationships are really important. And these traditions give us an opportunity for consistency for ourselves and for our kids to create memories, to deepen those relationships, to deepen those connections. It's really a positive thing. Ian, thank you for being here. And if you're still here, thanks for watching. We are Becoming Our Age.